As all of you true Opry fans know, Johnny Paycheck is going to be the next member of the Grand Ole Opry and will join on November the 8th. And Roxanne Russell has got this very honest interview with Johnny, and it tells about some of his road to get here to the Grand Ole Opry. Watch.
Tonight I feel like an old violin.
He sings with a raw emotion that comes from his heart and from his soul. To look at the face of Johnny Paycheck is to look at a man who has lived the songs he sings. A man who once entertained country audiences high on drugs, now is singing better than ever, high on life. Today, he no longer sets himself up for self-defeat, but builds himself up with a newfound trust in God and a love of his music. Johnny Paycheck has come to terms with the demons in his life.
I guess it's 'cause it's true. The hardest thing I've ever.
What was your truth?
Truth was that I'd been living wrong, that I'd done all the wrong things.
In the slightest way.
The truth is, in order to get over that, you've got to tell yourself you've been wrong. Now you can be right.
I don't know you from Adam, but if you're gonna play the jukebox, please don't play A11.
The truth was, in 1965, with the success of A11 and the start of his own Little Darlin' Records, a weakness in Johnny's character made itself apparent.
You catch yourself starting to do things to keep up. You know, the pace gets real fast, and the people want demands on your time, and all of a sudden you wake up one day and you're tired, and you say, yeah, oh, there's a little pill. That's what helped me get through this. So you start, you know. You say, yeah, nobody will know the difference. And all of us, that's how these things start. People don't understand that you don't just wake up one day and say, hey, I'm going to be a drug addict.
The bottom fell out for Johnny in 1967 when his record label went bankrupt. For 3 years, he hit the skids in California.
I sort of gave up. I didn't give up, but I just got where at that point I said I just didn't care much anymore.
One friend did care. Nick Hunter was determined to save Johnny, even if Johnny didn't think he was worth saving.
I went to Denver to Nick's home and went to the basement of his house and dried out, which was a hardcore thing.
I bet it was. Did you go through all the
Went through all everything, yeah, the snakes and the whole ball of wax.
Johnny was clean. And in the course of 1 year, he amazingly went from the abomination of homelessness to the nomination for a Grammy Award. Johnny Paycheck was back on top, and back again came the demons, one by one.
I started back with just a beer, then a little wine with the beer. Then one day, you have a drink of whiskey, and so on and so forth, and and I fell right back into it again. And this time, big time, because I had success, I had money. I had people around me to shield me from the outside, to hide what I was doing, all those things. So everything was there for me to absolutely destroy myself, and I almost did.
And I turned out to be the only hell my mama ever raised.
In the mid-'70s, Johnny found himself in a living hell. It was during this time that Johnny recast his image in the outlaw mold, a reputation earned, an image detrimental to Johnny's personal good.
When you get that, you sort of feel like you got a free rein. People have accepted me now. I got my beard and I got my stuff in my head, you know? And I'll do what I please. That's the attitude you get, or, you know. And especially if you're not thinking right. Then I got to take this job and shove it, and I became #1 in the world with that thing.
Take this job and shove it. I ain't working here no more.
That changed the whole lifestyle again. Because then I really had a lot of money, and I really had a lot of influence. And there is sort of a wild man with all this power and control, see. And it almost took me out.
We got part 2 of the interview with Johnny Paycheck. You probably saw part 1 here with Porter on our show last week. Roxanne visited with Johnny. Watch very closely.
December 19th, 1985. Tell me about that night.
Well, that was a real wall that I hit that I came out of good. Now let me explain that. I got into a barroom fight. I was carrying a gun, which was the stupidest thing I've ever done. Pulled the gun to scare him off, and the gun, in reality, what really happened, the gun went off. And it hit the boy in the head. Thank God it didn't. It was a superficial, whatever they call it. And anyway,
It's a flesh wound?
Yeah. Well, anyway, I went on trial, and they found me guilty of assault.
Aggravated assault?
Aggravated assault. And I threw the gun away, and so they found me guilty on tampering with evidence. Those were the two things. And they gave me 9.5 years in prison.
The day that they put you in, I mean, you've exhausted all appeals. This is it. You know what your fate is. You're going to have to spend time in jail.
Right.
What are you feeling inside?
Well, I'm dying a little bit every day as I get closer, because now I got to go away. I got to lose my family. I got to lose my freedom. I got my career, everything that I worked for all my life. I finally see that I've finally succeeded in throwing it away. And that was the hardest thing that I ever did, was when I walked through those gates that day in chains, you know. But it also, at the same time, once I was through those gates, and at night, when I was in the first night I was there, they turned the lights out, and I was in the cell, sleeping on concrete. I said, I'm going to beat this. I'm going to, this is it. I can't do this. I can't let this take me. This can't be the way this ends, And also I realized that if I didn't, it was going to end if I kept drinking, if I kept judging, if I, a lot of things. I had to change my whole life. So I went to work on it. And I quit everything, one at a time. And everybody in this industry wrote letters. Everybody from Chris Christopherson, Willie, Merle, everybody, George. They all wrote letters to the governor. Right down, and finally, even the guy that I had the confrontation with wrote a letter to the governor and said he thought that I had paid enough for what had happened. And it took 2 years, and at the end of the second year, Governor Celeste of Ohio pardoned me. I started then. I had no vices, and I knew it would be an uphill battle, because I had said before in my life that I was doing this, I was going to quit this and that, and I knew, and my wife and I discussed it, that this was going to be a battle, because first of all, most people was not going to believe me, and I understood that. And I started, and it's this year is 10 years. I haven't had a cigarette, a drink, or any drug of any kind. This is my 10th anniversary. And I never told anybody, I just did it. And so, here we are.
The great Mr. Billman.